Good evening, everyone, if you are connected from Thailand. My name is Michele Tomea. I'm managing the Italian Chamber of Commerce. Tonight, we are happy to welcome you to another event of the Chamber online with Aperitivo Italiano. Tonight, we are going to present two companies and their amazing product that hopefully every one of you is having with yourself at home or in your office. We are going to have an interesting cheese and cold cuts pairing with Banfi Chianti Classico. So tonight with us, we have two distinguished speakers. The first one is Mr. Tony from KCG. He's actually our product manager of dairy and chilled food that will be presenting the basket that we sent to you. Mr. Tony is working in this food business for over 10 years, and he's been introducing many dairy products into the Thai market. You may know him from his work as a product manager at KCG Corporation, which is a leading importer and distributor in Thailand, also of several European products, not only Italians, but from several other countries. He's been offering numerous chances to contacting world-leading food suppliers, chefs, retailers, buyers, media influencers, and learn from people who are experts in their field, which improve holistic knowledge and marketing skill. And our second speaker is from Banfi, kindly in partnership with IWS, our members as well. We have tonight Mr. Guillaume Blanchard, Banfi Brand Ambassador. Just a few words about his profile as a professional. He has extensive background in hospitality industries, has given Guillaume Blanchard an insight to appreciate fine wines. Guillaume refined his knowledge of old world and new world wines by working with a well-respected wine merchant around Southeast Asia since 2004. His passion for the wines has been cultivating for the past several years and now combines his love of Italian wines and the industry by working with Castello Banfi since 2009, which is one of Italia's leading wine producers. And also Guillaume obtained the Wine and Spirit Education Trust, the WSET, Level 3 certification, which merit in 2018. Okay, with no much further ado, I would like, first of all, to thank our speaker, Tony and Guillaume, for being with us. And I will leave our floor to the first one, Mr. Tony. Please, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Michele. Hi, everyone. It has been an honor and pleasure to meet all the members here today. I'm Tony from KCG Corporation, and first of all, thank you, TICC, for granting an opportunity to introduce the best cheese and cold cut from KCG. For over 60 years, KCG have been importing and distributing quality dairy product from suppliers all around the world, and especially from Italy. So we have been working with many Italian cheesemakers and meat producers for years. So ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to show you the company's presentation. Continue, please.
Because we believe that good products will create happy moments for our customers. KCG Corporation has been supplying many leading restaurants with quality products they can trust. All efforts have been made to ensure that our customers will get the full satisfaction of our products. We ensure that we select excellent quality products from all over the world to offer customers endless happiness. We continuously maintain the quality of our products at every step of the production process. We strictly adhere to quality standards. We believe that technology advancement will allow us to constantly create, innovate, and develop new innovations to bring new products or services. We ensure that our transportation system efficiency is well monitored so that our products are being transported at the appropriate temperatures. We are also responsible for the environment by using a modern wastewater treatment system. More importantly, we pay attention to our employees' happiness and are aware of the significance of social responsibilities by supporting local communities. These are the beliefs we have been adhering to and operating on for more than 60 years. And we give our pledge that KCG Corporation Company will strive to create happiness in every meal for everyone. Creating pleasure for your taste. KCG Corporation.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tony.
Sure. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I think we all know that the best cheese can be found in Italy. Why? It's because Italian cheese like Parmigiano Reggiano, Grana Padano, and provolone cheese is offering a better taste for our meal, and it's also convenient for back of the house solutions. So it could be mixed with our meal and pairing with our favorite wine. So today, KCG is bringing you the best cheese in the world, which have been granted PDO certificates, which mean the cheese in your hand right now is a true product of its environment. Its recipe and production method reflect the unique terrain of Italy and are grounded in the cumulative know-how for more than 1,000 years. And also there are some bonus cheeses in the box for your choice to pairing with wine. So you can also find the front brie cheese and also the light blue cheese from France. Also, we giving you the Emi Gruyere Swiss cheese and Gracia Manchego from Spain. Okay, and for the meat side, if you see it, there are three kinds of meats. So we have Parma ham, which is fermented for more than 14 years. And we also have Coppa ham and salami in Milano style from MS Fontana. This is one of our best Italian meat producer. This producer was founded in 1959, and they are producing more than 400,000 hams per year. And if you like our products, please visit us at Cheese and Cold Cut Consignment Counter in premium supermarket like Central Food Hall, Central Chitlom, Central World, Gourmet Market Emporium in Quartier, Siam Paragon, Big C, Lotus Extra, and looking for KCG logo. And our product consultant will be there helping you to select the famous cheese. And alternatively, if you wish to purchase our cheese conveniently from your house, please add live friend from this QR code. My assistant will put it on in the chat line. You can see the QR code from the chat. And okay, so please enjoy the memorable night with the world best cheese and wine. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Tony. I try to show part of the basket that I believe you receive with some of the product. I added breadstick and some of the other cheese that we have, like the brie, and you mentioned also ham for tonight. And okay, with no much further ado, I think like we can pass now the virtual floor to Mr. Guillaume.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tomea.
I'm going to show you, we're going to be presenting, of course, about Chianti wine tonight. But before doing so, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the producer, Banfi. So I'm just going to show you a presentation and then a video with that. So just bear with me here with my share screen here. Okay. Okay, share here. There we go. So Banfi, we're a family-owned producer producing wines in Italy. All right, let me just bear with me here. I'm just going to try and see if we can put it as a PowerPoint here. There we go. Can everybody see that? Yeah. Great. So we're a family producer. We're producing wines in Italy, in 2 regions of Italy. Actually, Banfi is owned by a family called the Mariani family. And the Mariani family has been in the wine industry for over 3 generations today. Today, in 2021, the CEO of our winery is Cristina Mariani. So it's been passed on to Cristina Mariani, who's now leading the Banfi estate. Banfi is, one of the leading producers in Italy. I think a lot of Italian consumers and Italian people have heard of Banfi. Our fame is, of course, many wines, but 2 wines in particular, the Rosso di Montalcino and Brunello di Montalcino. Why? Because it's only in the village of Montalcino where you can produce these famous wines. So Banfi produces wines in both Piemonte, as you can see here in the village of Strevi, where we produce a lot of our indigenous varietals such as Gavi, Moscato d'Asti, Dolcetto d'Acqui, as well as a beautiful dessert wine found in Thailand called Rosa Regale, and the varietal is Bracchetto d'Acqui. But we're also very famous in Strevi to produce our champenoise style sparkling wines called from the Alta Langa area. However, our principal estate, our larger estate, is situated in the region of Tuscany, and you can see here a map of Italy. And so the Piedmont region is up here, close to bordering France. And in Tuscany, we produce wines in the Bolgheri area, which is known for many Super Tuscans. In Chianti, Chianti Classico, and Montalcino. In Montalcino, which is south of Florence. Now, Chianti is the wine that you're having tonight, and I'll tell you also some of the differentiation between Chianti and Chianti Classico, because sometimes consumers get a little bit confused. If you want to start tasting your wine or drinking your wine, please do so and start pairing it with some of the cheeses. And maybe if you have questions about the wine later on, please feel free to ask in the chat or through in the chat, I assume. So Chianti has actually existed for over 1,000 years. Yeah, back in 790 AD. One of the first scriptures or scripts to have seen the word Chianti in there dates back 1,000 years. But it's only in 1716 with Cosimo III, the Grand Duke of Tuscany, that he decided to create a specific area, designated area, in order to produce Chianti. And I'll explain that a little bit more to you later after this slide. And from the 1960s all the way to the 1990s, it is there and then that we start, the Italian government starts designated different areas within the Chianti appellation. And this is very similar to what Mr. Dhanapoom from KCG explained about the DOP cheeses, how it comes from a specific area. And the same thing is applied when it comes to drinking European wines, and here in our case, Italian wines. So
I'll just explain. This is you can see here on the PowerPoint is a classification system. It's a pyramid system. So every bottle of wine that you can find coming from Italy will have written either Vina da Tavola, IGT here, DOC, and DOCG. And what that basically means is that if you're producing a wine under Vini da Tavola, it means you're taking the grapes from different parts of Italy, blending it together and making wine. All we know as the consumer that the wine comes from Italy. The producer at the end does not have to mention what grape varietal is in the bottle. However, once you start producing wines from IGT, DOCs, and DOCG, then it becomes more specific. So in our case here, with a lot of our wine that is produced in Tuscany, we will call it IGT Toscana. When you start producing DOCs and DOCGs, you are focalizing on a much smaller area of that region. So the bottle that you have now, the Chianti Annata, which means we're producing it every year, it is a DOCG. And I'll show you here and this is the map of Tuscany. Where's the principal city, let's say the capital of Tuscany is Florence. And if you are making wines in the Chianti area, you can take the grapes from any of this area, which is gray right here. Whereas if you see a bottle that says Chianti Classico, it means that the grapes are coming from this golden area here, and that's situated between Florence and Siena. Now, one of the main differences, of course, between Chianti and a Chianti Classico is not just only the area, the production area, but also we have to consider the grape, the percentage of grape that is being grown as well in that Chianti and Chianti Classico area. So, for example, in the Chianti area, for the wine that you're having right now, you have to have a minimum of 70% Sangiovese. Now, Sangiovese is the predominant varietal that is grown, that is used to produce Chianti. Whereas the Chianti Classico with the famous black rooster, the Gallo Nero, they have to use, in order to call it a Chianti Classico, is that it has to come from that designated area of Chianti Classico, but they have to use a minimum of 80%, 200% Sangiovese. Now, as we know, when we're producing agricultural products, and especially grapes, if you're situated 100 meters away or 200 meters away, the soil will be different. The climate could also be different. We've all experienced driving in the car where it's pouring rain, and suddenly there's a clear line where the rain has stopped, and that partition separates where it rained and where it did not rain. So these are some of the main differences. Now, you'll always notice with the Chianti Classico, it will say Chianti Classico on the bottle, but it will also have the black rooster, where the Chianti will all just say Chianti. So this is something to consider. Is Chianti Classico better than Chianti? It's a personal taste at the end. They're producing wines of different styles as well. I would have to say that between the Chianti Annata and, let's say, a Chianti Classico Annata, so what you have here is the Chianti Annata, one of the main differences is that this would be maybe a little bit lighter in body than the Chianti Classico. So that's the style. And one of the reasons for this is also, as you can see here, the yield, which means the amount of grapes used to produce Chianti Annata. You can use a lot more grapes than Chianti Classico. So the lower the yield, the higher, let's say, also the aromas and the flavors that you will get. Also, another thing to consider is also the percentage of alcohol. Now, nowadays, most of the Chianti Annatas and Chianti Classicos will fall at around 13% alcohol. Your bottle should say about 13% alcohol as well. But the minimum requirement here so you might find the minimum requirement of alcohol is 10.5% alcohol. So I just want to show you here after this map, video of the Montalcino area, which gives you a little bit of an idea of the surrounding area of Tuscany. So the Chianti area here, we're taking the grapes from two areas. We're taking the grapes from an area called Cerreto Guidi, which is just west of Florence, as well as in the sort of the sub area of Montalcino in the Colli Senesi area, the sub area, which is designated as a Chianti area. And so those are where our vineyards are situated in order to produce our Chiantis. And we're actually, Banfi, because we're an existing producer of Chianti, we are able, historically, we're able to make our wine, our Chianti wine, in the village of Montalcino, which is quite unique. So not many producers have that ability or have the ability or that agreement with the consortio to be able to make the wines in Montalcino, because Banfi is an old producer of Chianti, and we were grandfathered in to this rule. So let me just show you a quick video of Montalcino. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, we can't all fly over to Tuscany at this time, but I'll show you a video of Castello Banfi and our estate here. Okay, thank you. So Tuscany, of course, famous for the birthplace of Italian Renaissance in Florence, but Tuscany is also famous for producing wines, a variety of wines here. And what you're looking for is, of course, the rolling hills, the sunflowers. This is what Tuscany is about, especially in the summertime. So the Banfi estate is actually the very large estate in Montalcino. It constitutes about 2,830 hectares. And within the estate, we dedicate about 800 hectares to the production of vines. The rest of the estate is forest, and we're an olive producer as well as a plum producer. Within the winery as well, if you ever get a chance to come and visit us, we have a hotel at the castle at the Castello Banfi, a hotel called Il Borgo, and we have 14 suites there. And 2 years ago, we received, this is our second year, with a Michelin star, 1-star Michelin restaurant on the estate. And we also have a balsameria, so we also produce balsamic vinegar, which takes minimum 6 years for the production of this product. me just share back to the PowerPoint presentation here. We're going to taste, I'm sure you've already started tasting the Chianti, but Tuscany is really one of the most important regions to grow one particular grape that is known in Tuscany called Sangiovese. And 60% of all the Sangiovese that is being produced in Tuscany, right here, in Italy, comes from Tuscany, and close to 65% of all the vineyards that you can find in Tuscany, they will dedicate the production for Sangiovese, which which basically means that Tuscany equals Sangiovese. So you've got the right soil to grow this grape, because we have to remember that not all grapes are grown the same way. And just like any vegetable or any fruit, depending on the, as we say in the wine world, the terroir will also decide what you can grow. For example, you'd be hard to find any producer in Tuscany to grow, let's say, Riesling as an example, or Pinot Noir. Most of Tuscany grows Sangiovese, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, especially around the Bulgari area. But in our case here, with the Chianti, it's predominantly Sangiovese. And and we're also blending it with 10% of that with a varietal called Cabernet Sauvignon and Canaiolo Nero. Canaiolo Nero is an indigenous varietal from Italy, from Tuscany. I'm sure all of you have heard of Cabernet Sauvignon. What the Cabernet Sauvignon adds to the Chianti is it adds more of darker fruits in there, even though it's 10%, but you'll have a little bit of darker fruits, aromas of darker fruits in there, including the pepper that you can see. And that comes from the influence of the Cabernet Sauvignon. Whereas the Sangiovese, which is the predominant varietal in there, if you look into your glass, you'll see it's not a deep purple color. It is a red garnet color. It is a translucent color as well. That is why they came up with the name Sangiovese, because it's based on the Latin word sanguis Jovis, which is the blood of Jupiter. And they came up with the word of Sangiovese for this varietal, thousands of years ago. This particular wine, the Chianti DOCG here, is aged for about 6 months before it's released to the market. Yeah. And for that period of 6 months, it spends a short period of time in oak. So it could be a combination of oak barrels or the large oak cask. So you will notice a little bit for this particular wine, a little bit of maybe vanilla notes coming, and this is due to the presence of the oak. In general, Sangiovese, the general characteristics of these kind of wines is, of course, the color, the red garnet color. Chianti tends to have a little bit more acidity as well to the wine, some nice acidity, a bit of a astringent feeling on the mouth, and that's due to the tannins. And of course, the hints of red fruits, of the cherries, of blackberries, and a little bit of a typical characteristic is the earthiness. So you might smell, a little bit of, mushroom, a little bit of a leather. These are kind of the aromatic profiles that you can get from Chianti. Now, I like to drink. I think I often find sometimes, especially in my markets, we live in the tropics. I'm based in Vietnam and in Thailand, and it gets also hot. But it's when we're drinking wines, and they say drink wines at room temperature, we have to remember that room temperature. The concept of room temperature dates back from the medieval times, and where they had no insulation, where there was no heating. And so room temperature may have been at 15 or 16 degrees Celsius. Now today, even with the air conditioning blasting, it says 16 degrees on your, or 18 degrees on your remote control, a lot of the times we're still standing at 21 or 22 degrees Celsius. So it's very important when you're drinking a wine, especially a red wine, to serve it at the right temperature. Now, we don't have to be too precise, but what I like to do, especially with the Chianti, to be between 16 and 18 degrees Celsius. If I'm in a restaurant at times and I'm dining, al fresco dining, and I sense that the bottle is a little bit warm because they just pulled it out from the warehouse in the back of the restaurant, I'll often ask for ice bucket with water and put 2 or 3 ice cubes in there just to bring the wine back to a good temperature. If not, what tends to happen is you will just smell the alcohol that is being released in the wine. So this is something that's quite important to have. Now, with Chiantis, some of the classic pairings, of course, cheese is well paired with Chianti, especially hard cheeses. I find hard cheeses are nice, and as you said, you had some cheeses here that are present, but you don't want as well. You want, even for the blue cheese, you want the cheese to not be overpowering, because Chianti is not a full-bodied wine. I would say it's a medium-bodied styled red wine. So what you're looking for is a balance. You're looking for a medium-bodied wine with a medium-bodied styled cheese as well. And that's where the pairing becomes interesting. One other thing that I find goes very well as well is especially because Chianti has a good acidity, you need something a little bit fatty. And the cheeses, what the acidity does, the acidity cuts through the cheese and really makes it a nice, harmonious so synergy between the wine and the food that you're eating. Some other classic pairings, of course, tomato-based dishes, whether it's a pizza or you know, a tomato on its own, or a pasta with a tomato base is very good. And many of the charcuteries, as Mr. Dhanapoom informed us, part of the hamper that you received, there are some nice charcuteries as well that can be enjoyed with this Chianti. So I hope you've enjoyed the wine and the cheese and charcuterie pairing here with the salumi that was presented. As per my understanding as well, I just want to inform that we are the producer, and this is only possible to have our products in Thailand with our longtime partners, IWS, Independent Wine and Spirits. And I think in the hamper that you receive, there's also a price list that Mr. Michele, I think you have there as well. So are there any questions that I see the hand is up here?
Yes, about the wine, something that could be a bit more specific. Let's say we saw that Banfi is actually a family with a winery that is producing wine for many, many years. And my question is about the evolution of wine. Let's say the wine that we serve in our restaurants today, or you can find in a supermarket, is like the same wine that we were able to drink 100 years ago or 400 years ago. Of course, when we talk about international market, it's very important to standardize the taste, standardize the production, and also to give the consumer not only the standard, but also ensure an importer, like, for example, IWS, that you're able to supply a certain number of bottles per year. Do you know a bit more about the evolution of the wine in this case?
Yeah. So I think that the wine has evolved over the years, and you know, people have a better understanding as well of wine production. So I would say, maybe a $50 bottle of wine, a €50 bottle of wine that you had spent, 40 years ago. Today, you might only have to spend €35 for that kind of style wine, for that kind of quality. Why? Because as producers, we know as well, the longer that we spend with working the land, the longer that we understand how the climate is affecting our vineyards, that plays an importance in the quality of the wine as well. So I would say, even though, we have the Grand Cru Classés, the Super Tuscans, the big Brunellos, the expensive wine, the general wines that are produced today are, of qualitative wine in general. I can't say for everything, but qualitative wines today. And of course, the know-how has improved. We have better technology to better understand different weather patterns as well, and different methods to work on the canopy management as well. The foliage, working how to give us the best grapes. So this, I think, has evolved over the years and has improved significantly from wines maybe that were produced in the 1950s and 1940s and 1930s and so forth. Also having a better understanding of reducing sulfites as well. I think in general, most sulfites are naturally occurring in the wines, but also in the past, a lot of producers were just not knowing what they were doing, but using maybe an overextensive amount of sulfites. And this has changed completely as well. So I think the quality of wines, to answer your question, the quality of wines that we're drinking today are of better quality when it comes to mainstream wines. But also we must remember, like you said, you mentioned generic wines. I think having an identity like the DOCGs, like the Chianti, is very important, because we need to protect also our appellation and our style of wines. If we all decide to make all the same style wines, then I think life would be, at least the wine world would be boring.
Thank you a lot for sharing. And more about the pairing. So today we have the opportunity to taste cheese from different countries in the KCG box. And from your opinion, let's say if, for example, also among our members, we have companies from France, from Switzerland, from the Netherlands. What kind of wine would you be able to pair, for example, with the cheddar cheese that KCG told me that is also very common in the consumption in Thailand, or maybe another cheese like Brie that is also very common in Thailand. Do you think also this type of Chianti, red wine, is easy to match with this cheese? Or
yeah. I mean, again, the general rule as well in the past has always been, sticking to your regional products to match with the wines. But the world that we live in has been globalized, so we're getting products. It's not always easy, especially in Asia, to always get a regional product or a tomato from the specific area of Italy. The general rule is, how does it make you feel when you're pairing the red wine, the Chianti, with, let's say, Emmental or a cheddar. The general guideline, I would say, is don't pair this wine with something overly too strong. That's, I think, to be a little bit more generic, is if you're pairing this wine, for example, with as I said, a Danish blue, for example, a Danish blue, which is a blue cheese, but it's quite overpowering. I think the cheese will overpower the Chianti. But if you've got a blue cheese that's a little bit lighter, if you have a cheddar or Parmigiano is another perfect example, Emmental with this wine, it's good, because what you're looking for is a wine that has good acidity as well, especially here with the Chianti, that's able to cut through the fattiness of certain cheeses. And at the end of the day, it's your personal also taste of what you like. You know, I think if somebody wants to have a Chianti with I don't know, fried noodles, and say, you know, go ahead. If that makes you happy, then then you should do it.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Of course, I invite also the attendees of tonight. If you want to ask anything, please drop in the box, in the chat box. So I will address the speakers. Just something interesting to share, that the team of KCG was telling me that the top sales in cheese in Thailand, they have cheddar, Parmigiano, Brie, and mozzarella. This is interesting. You are located in Vietnam. From your side, is this type of cheese and wine is similar in the taste for Vietnamese people, local people in Ho Chi Minh City, or is a bit different from your side?
Yeah, in general, what we have seen in Vietnam is for the local consumers, Italian products is seen as luxury already. So we've been very lucky with that. Italian food and beverage restaurants or whether hotels, it's quite common to find that. So that's also helped us promote our products to the domestic market. When it comes to the cheese selection, I think what most importers try and look for is also cheeses that are easy to transport and that have maybe a longer shelf life, because that's, I think, some of the challenges that we may find as well, and that cheeses that are also pasteurized, so so that you're able to display it in many different retail outlets. But yeah, in general, for us, I mean, in Vietnam, I find that red wines sell more than white wines. There's a predominance, better appreciation for red wines. First-time wine drinkers tend to prefer bigger, bolder wines. So, for example, we'll find often the Aperitivo has become very popular in Vietnam, especially for first-time wine drinkers because of the boldness of these kind of wines coming from the southern part of Italy. But eventually, when the consumer starts becoming more comfortable with tasting wines, different wines, whether it's Italian or Chianti, they'll start going for wines that are a little bit more refined, a little bit more, not so much on the fruitiness, but more on the complexity of some secondary or tertiary notes that they're looking for, such as tertiary notes such as the earthiness or the leather or the tobaccos. So this is what's interesting. But and a good start, I'm starting to see for the last 4 or 5 years growth in the Italian wine sector for Vietnam.
Yeah, I know, but probably Italian food and beverage is still developing in Vietnam compared to Thailand. In Thailand,
yes,
demand, probably the market is bigger. Let's say you have more cities, more places where you can develop. And I think like the Thai market knows pretty well the Italian products. Sure. As a chamber, for example, we work in some food and beverage trade show, and when possible, we send Thai buyers to Italy to find products. So this one is also part of the chamber core business. And, but I see our colleagues in Vietnam, Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, they still have a lot of space, a lot of room to fill in with Italian food demand. That's for sure.
I guess it's also because Vietnam, only, let's say 20 years ago or 25 years ago, opened up to international travelers as well. In the past, Vietnam was still very much closed country. And so we've, the way I see today, Vietnam, it reminds me of, I used to live in Thailand, but, so the 1980s of Thailand. So we still have a lot of room for growth. And that's mainly due to also the country not opening up as fast as Thailand with international tourists and tourism. Thailand is very developed in that sector.
No, that's true, absolutely. And now maybe a question for Mr. Tony of KCG regarding the cheese. Actually, as Mr. Guillaume just said, let's say the tourism is dragging also a lot of interest in, for example, European products or from other countries. From your point of view, like from KCG, of course, you have a lot of experience, like several years of experience. What is the best trade show? For example, when you travel over Europe, if you are expanding your catalog of products from Europe, now we're talking about cheese, what are you aiming for? What is your leading details that is going to drag your attention in new products for the Thai market?
Actually, if you're asking me about the trade show in Thailand, there are two kinds of shows. This kind of exhibition for domestic market and for international market. So for international market, of course, we have like TICC, right? It is the biggest one of the year. And for the domestic market, domestic consumers, we have like Red Cross and YWCA, which are very, very famous among the consumers. Of course, the sales is enormous for these short exhibitions. Yeah.
And for example, when you if you travel abroad and etc., let's say local exhibition can give you an idea of what the local consumer likes.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Are you finding new products in Europe that you think there is a space to fit for the Thai demand?
Yes, of course. And in KCGs, we have to looking for the new products from Europe to serve Thai market. And also I forget another exhibition is Macro Horeca, which Red Cross and YWCA is all about consumer, and Macro Horeca we have Horeca side, food service side. So the new product from Europe, you need to focus either going to go for consumer product, consumer side or Horeca side. That is the thing, yeah. And
also something interesting that you mentioned that import duty of cheese can be around 30%. So, for example, the box that you gave us and you help us to distribute and spread information among our member company actually has, let's say, a much higher value even compared to what you can source in Europe locally, right? Like, yes. I believe that the value of the box was about a bit less of 2,000 baht, probably.
Correct.
So anyhow, but thank you a lot for this sponsorship again. And but it's very interesting. A few months ago, we were talking with one supermarket retail, very famous in Thailand, and the vice president was telling us that a few years ago, meaning 15, 20 years ago, cheese was not very common in Thailand. But because he believed in the product, he's a European expert for the food and beverage, he pushed to develop the cheese. And he was telling us that actually the Thai consumer, they love cheese. You just need to educate first and try to make it available with a competitive price and etc. But now cheese is something that can be considered part of the weekly diet for Thai people. Do you think this is true? It's like a true story? Or what do you think about the cheese and dairy consumption?
The market is developing. I think the chamber can also see that in Thailand we are developing many products with together with cheese. You can see hot pot with cheese, cup noodles with cheese, instant noodle with cheese, everything with cheese. So the market is open up, and I think consumer, they learn how to consume cheese, not only for the special occasion, but we can do like daily or weekly consumptions. So I think the cheese consumption and also dairy product consumption is still expanding, and there's still some room to expand. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Tony. Let's say we are approaching the end of our time together. It's almost 7 p.m. in Thailand. One last question for Mr. Tony, for Mr. Guillaume. Let's say Banfi is a winery from Tuscany with
Piemonte, yeah.
Sorry?
Banfi, Tuscany and Piedmont.
Both. Okay, both.
Yeah.
Let's say if you compare, for example, Tuscany and Piedmont, in France, do you have regions that actually they have the same passion, experience for the white wine production, for the love of, for example, let's say charcuterie production, something comparable in France for your experience or similar, let's say?
Yeah, well, I mean, a good example would be, of course, the Bulgaria area of Tuscany, coastal part of Tuscany. And the whole idea of that region was, in the past, Sangiovese was the predominant grape grown, still the predominant grape grown. And a lot of producers were, having to follow to produce Chianti and Chianti Classicos and Brunellos, which are all DOCG wines, or some of them in the past were DOCs, then moved up to DOCG. And the story of the Bulgaria is that they saw the area of Bordeaux, France, where they were producing Cabernet Franc, Merlot. And so a lot of the producers back in the 1960s, 1970s said, I'm growing Sangiovese, but let's start experimenting with Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, because the coastal part is very similar, has some similarities in terms of the soil composition, the cooler climate from the mountains as well, from the hills as well, from the sea. And they started planting Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, using, instead of Slovenian oak cask, which has been traditional in wine production in Italy, but started using French oak cask and producing these fantastic Super Tuscans, known from, of course, Sassicaia, one of the most famous producers in that area. And what it is, it's a Bordeaux blend. So yeah, we do have certain regions that have similarities. And of course, in France, when it comes to, producing cheese, every region, just like in Italy, specializes in production of local delicacies as well. And the same is applied with the wine industry. Tuscany is the birthplace of Sangiovese, and now, in the last 30 years, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Vermentino as well. Vermentino has started coming in, even though it's, we often hear of it in Sardinia. We do have some similarities. Again, it's all about the climate that we have in the soil. So we can find regions that have similarities to climatic conditions of Tuscany that are similar to France and the soil as well. Then yes, they will grow similar varietals.
Okay, no, thank you for sharing also this exchange that there was in the past. Okay, let's say what I can propose also to the attendees, if you want to open your camera for a toast all together. So I would like to, approaching the conclusion of the event, let's say I want to thank IWS and KCG for being the main sponsor of tonight, and also sharing so many information about products and market. And also from IWS or KCG, if you want to share in the chat your contact, so our attendees can eventually they can contact you to order this amazing wine or amazing cheese. Please do so. And again, buon appetito. Santé.
Salud.
Prost.
Thank you very much.